Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is Galen Moore, Director of Data and Indexes at CoinDesk, a media platform for the next gen of investors exploring how crypto and digital assets are contributing to the evolution of the global financial system. Galen, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Great to be here. Thanks a lot, Jill.
And there really is a lot going on in the crypto space right now. And I want to talk about altcoins. What's going on with altcoins for outpacing the large cap cryptos? Are we seeing use cases for them? And do you think this is sustainable longer term?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think it's kind of a cyclical thing. You tend to see these cycles in which, Bitcoin is sort of driving momentum in the market, and then momentum seems to shift. It's a pattern that, has been noted in the past. People will use the term altcoin season to describe that shift from a Bitcoin-driven market into an altcoin-driven market. And, just to kind of clear the air on the term altcoin, it really does describe everything other than Bitcoin, at least at this point in the history of the asset category. So, I think that can, it's a pretty broad brush. I'd like to break it down a little bit narrower than that. One of the segments we look at is the sort of large cap segment of the market. And like, just to be clear on this, right? Like, large caps in crypto is kind of a funny moniker. If you can think of like the S&P 500, like imagine if Apple, which is the largest stock in the S&P, were a $20 trillion company. That's kind of what Bitcoin is like in the crypto space. It's anywhere between 50 and 60% of the overall market cap. So really there is only one large cap in crypto, and that's Bitcoin. But when we think about kind of the largest band, like the sort of 70% of the market, there are a handful of assets that we look at. And I think, we sent over a chart with looking at what some of them are up to over the past, into the year to date since January 1. So this would be Litecoin, Ether to start with. Assets are kind of surpassing Bitcoin when it comes to the returns year to date. So it really is that kind of altcoin season environment that has continued into the second quarter.
So Galen, let's talk about passive investing, because you had brought up before that Bitcoin is like the Apple of the S&P 500. We know how much weighting Apple participates with the S&P 500, of course, Apple with the Nasdaq 100, right? So, sure. And we know what happens when these massive weightings move significantly one way or the other. So explain to the audience how that has impacted traditional markets, and how could that potentially impact the crypto market?
Well, it's again, like Bitcoin is always Bitcoin really is the bellwether, if you will, right? Bitcoin is beta in crypto. There is no S&P 500 in crypto. There is no Nasdaq 100. And the reason for that is there's Bitcoin. When people want to think about what's the health of the entire crypto market, they pretty much just look at the Bitcoin price. And, most of the time that's actually a pretty good proxy. Although, as I was saying, kind of in the environment that we find ourselves in right now, there's a lot of other interesting activity. And some of the large caps that I mentioned, right, are not, they're outpacing Bitcoin, to be sure, by a significant amount. Like if you look at Link, for example, it's up almost 300% on the year. Whereas Bitcoin is, a measly 118%. So, in a category where the kind of most sort of stable asset, if you will, the least, volatile and risky asset, Bitcoin, is kind of outpacing stocks to the extent that it is, there are assets that go even further. And right now it does seem like, some of those further out assets are kind of leading the market. One of the former components of the DLCX, XRP, which was excluded at the beginning of Q1, and excluded, by the way, not because of a lack of volume or falling market cap, but because of regulatory concerns when the SEC sued Ripple, the issuer of XRP, alleging an unregistered security. XRP is up just since the beginning of April. It's really gone on a tear. It's up some 715% now on the year. So, looking at some of these, even the sort of largest of the altcoins, they do tend to outpace Bitcoin. And, we can go further than that, right? There are assets that are further down the list, if you will, in terms of market cap and size. A few that we look at frequently would be 0x, Cardano, Algorand, and Cosmos. Those are all up significant percentages this year. The leader among them being Cardano, up above 700% so far. So again, it's this kind of, the market in this environment kind of expands and diversifies a little. And I think it's actually a pretty challenging time for investors who have like kind of, maybe gotten comfortable with Bitcoin, maybe gotten comfortable with Ether, but then you have this kind of panoply of other assets that require research, that maybe require, operational considerations. And, it really, to me anyway, underscores like the need and the demand for a more sort of passive and diversified investment opportunity in crypto.
And Galen, to wrap up here, finally, what is the story for DeFi in 2021?
DeFi, DeFi's been huge. And honestly, the story is all about Uniswap right now, right? That is the market leader by a huge margin, and is kind of driving the rest of the category. We'll put together a chart here for you guys looking at about the top 5 by market cap, median market cap over the trailing 90 days. That's Uniswap, Ava, Yearn Finance, Maker, and Synthetics. And they've all kind of grown quite a bit. They're all significant. Sort of reaching that point where they're now listed on U.S. accessible exchanges. Institutions are beginning to participate and take interest. But again, it's really this one DEX, a decentralized exchange, Uniswap, that has taken over the narrative here.
All right, Galen, appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thanks a lot, Jill.